we're gonna go ahead and see if we can get this thing fired up. No! Before we get into the video today, I want to thank my friend Daniel Thomas at Post Haste Performance for all of his work in helping me diagnose the issue with the Explorer. Thank you for lending me your time and your tools so we could do this video. I appreciate it. You have no idea. So if you guys are in the market for tuning, please check them out, and I'll put a link in the description. Now let's get to the video. Well, hello everyone. Welcome to another episode of Southdown Garage. My name is Kurt. We're back in the Explorer, and we're doing data logging. First thing we're going to do is we're going to turn the ignition on, and we're going to connect to the vehicle. Once we're connected, we can start recording. Okay, so open, I need my January file because I'm back on 93 from ZFG. Well, I think I was probably on it. Okay. So I got my ZFG's 93 calibration log so that when I do my testing, I can see everything that I need to see for 93. And we're going to see if we can find a problem. Now, I can already tell you I know what faults we have. So let's take a look here and read the computer. So fuel system incomplete, catalyst incomplete, oxygen sensor incomplete. So these are my codes right now as it stands. I've got a systems 2 rich, bank 2, system signal base stuck rich, bank 1, sensor 1. That's interesting. Okay, so cylinder 2 misfire detected on startup, and random misfires. So we know what our codes were before. They were a cylinder 6 and a cylinder 3 misfire, plus these codes, plus there was a bank 2 rich code. So what we want to do is we want to hit record because we want to be able to see these conditions on the vehicle while we're still sitting not running, and then we can go ahead and start it. Oh, this is perfect. So that's going to tell us right there, because it took a little bit of time to start, what's going on. So what we're going to do is we're going to go for a drive. We're going to actually sit here and idle for a little bit. We're going to let it smoothen out, and then we're going to go for a drive, and we're going to show the logs of what's going on from there. Okay, so now it's sort of normalized. It's still misfiring. I wonder if I can see what's going on here. Total misfires since startup 450. Wow, it just keeps climbing. Look at that. Something's angry. And then so what we're going to do is we'll send this file off. What we're going to do next is we're going to get home, pull the spark plugs out, and we're going to clean off anti-seize on them, and then we're going to make sure that we have dielectric grease on everything before putting it all back together, and then we're going to drive it again and see if that improves it. And if not, the only other thing I could think of other than wideband O2 sensors would be ambient air temp sensor. Because if your ambient air temp sense goes, then what's going to happen is you're going to go full rich. It will lock you in rich. It will leave you there. If it thinks that it's like, and what it does is it usually locks you at like minus 50 degrees. But you never want that. It runs so bad. And the reason I know that is because my RX-7, when I first did the engine swap and I didn't tune it, it actually was at a rich condition because I didn't have a ambient air temp sensor in there, and man, it drove horrid. So I guess we're gonna have to talk to Dan, because Dan's gonna take a look at this. I'm gonna also send a file off to Adam, show him what's going on, and we're just gonna figure it out as a team and go from there, because I gotta fix this. I'm hoping it's just something simple. But if I have to replace my widebands, then you guys are you'll know. I'll tell you everything. I'm not gonna hide nothing. And I also want to thank everybody for getting in the comments right away from my last video and giving their opinion. I think a lot of you are on the right track. We do have not enough air and too much fuel issue. So let's And thank you for nobody mentioning a battery problem, because I know that seems to... I had somebody from my last video when I had my buddy's Explorer not starting, and they're like, replace the battery, and I was like, okay. So we're gonna do a relative compression test. So it's gonna check to make sure that all are the same. So ignition is on, engine is not running. So I have the throttle pedal to the floor, the park brake is on, everything else is met. And we're gonna hit OK. Crank engine for 10 seconds. There's 0% across all cylinders, so that's a decent test. So we can exit out of that. Basically just telling us that all those cylinders are okay in relativity to each other, so we know that they're all the same. So that's not telling us that everything is okay. It's just saying that for the compression test, there's no differences across the cylinders, so there's nothing glaring. Now we still have to pull each spark plug out and go through them, and then we can find out what's going on. And I can sort of explain some of the other stuff that I'm thinking about as well. I'm in contact with my tuner. He's been really helpful. He's doing what he can, but he's not like at his computer. Like, he doesn't sit at his computer all day. The guy's got a life. So we're gonna go and pull the spark plugs out and put the original stock ones back in. We're gonna take a picture of the new spark plugs, and then we're going to send those over to Adam and see if he can see anything else. We had 3 of our spark plugs were black when we pulled it out before, so hopefully we can see if there are any changes, and we can go from there. So we've got all 6 plugs out again. So these are just 3 days of running, not even, just 2 days basically of running. Actually, a day. So I ran it all Saturday in the morning, afternoon. It sat Sunday, didn't really go out. So we've got number 3 and number 6 are very, very dark. Number 4 is half. So it's looking like these 2 cylinders are an issue, plus this 4th one being a potential problem. So what we're going to do is clean the spark plug holes with brake clean, turn it over. Then I'm going to go grab a compression tester, do a compression test to make sure it's actually good, find out each cylinder compression. And then once that's done, I can throw back the stock plugs with the coils and do another data log. And if it shows up the same issues, then we know we're coming back here and we're going to be pulling the intake off and seeing what the injectors are like. Okay, so now we've got the compression tester hooked up to the vehicle. The fun part about doing a compression test on these vehicles is I'm doing it with all conditions the same. Throttle's wide open, and we're turning it over with no spark plugs in it, except for the one that we're testing. And right now we're under 120 psi. We have cylinder number 3 is a little bit lower than 120. So we'll go over that in a bit. But when you're trying to turn these things over, they'll keep cranking until it stops, and you don't really want to do that. Like, I'm not trying to kill my starter. So basically what I'm going to do here is foot brake on, full to the floor, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So stop at 7, and then we'll go and check our rating. So this one is around the same as the other ones. So I'm going to go take a picture of that one. This is cylinder number 4, and then we'll keep going to the back. I was already worried about cylinder number 2. That one is fine. So they seem all about the same. We'll mark that one off the list after we do number 6. Let's finish up here. So we've got the injectors out, and what often happens is no matter how careful you are, you are gonna lose one of these retainers, and they are not reusable. So when you lose these retainers, you are going to have to buy some new ones. Don't worry, you can go to my website, link in the description, to purchase yourself some of these retainers. They are non-reusable. I'm going to say that one more time. They are non-reusable. If they come off in your fuel rail, give them the old heave-ho, because they are that good. Garbage. Last time I showed you could heat them up with a gun. Well, when I pulled these injectors out, I lost a couple. So I'm just going to show you right now how you can not use a heat gun. So what you want to do is you want to get the lip of the retainer over your injector. And of course you want to put pressure away from the plug end because you don't want to do any damage there. And just roll it over like that. So you're just basically rolling it forward. I tried it on the other one before I showed you guys, but it's that easy. If you need any of these retainers, I would recommend before taking your injectors out, you purchase the retainers in my description so you don't find yourself out of luck when doing an injector on your Ford Explorer. Of course, if you're swapping to new injectors, you may not have to worry about it, but be warned, if you don't do it before you put these bad boys back in the bag, you will forget. And just in case you're wondering what the part number is for these injectors from Ford, that's it. I'm putting the Extreme DI injectors into the OEM Ford bag. And one way to tell if someone has replaced retainers versus stock, the stock ones are the yellow or slightly orange, and then these ones are black. Now that we've done that, we can show you the difference of the stock versus the aftermarket. They're actually still Ford. They're just a little bit larger. There's 25% increase, which I didn't know before. Thank you, Adam from ZFG Racing, for telling me what size my injectors were, because apparently I didn't know. I thought they were 11s, and then Adam was like, they're 25s. Makes sense because my fuel chart was a little above 25 for corrections, so that's good to know after the fact. The one thing you want to do, and they recommend, is that you change the metal retainers in the injector. Now, let me show you how fun it is to get one of these out. So what you want to do is you just want to wiggle like that. So you don't want to force, because then you'll pop that off. So when you're taking this out, you just want to wiggle it around. This is supposed to be replaced. I'm going to roll the dice because worst case is I got to take this apart again anyways. And why buy it twice? These are fight. Jetler, get back in your sail. Don't make me get the hose. Voila. So I've got that metal piece off. You want to make sure that this goes opposite to here, and then stick it in. Watch it like spew fuel all over me. And we're like, oh, sweet. Look at how clean that one is compared to these ones that have been in here for a little bit. So I'm hoping for the best, everyone. I have no idea if this is even going to work. Well, we've got the injectors back in. We've got the intake back in. Everything is torqued down. Make sure you torque down fuel rail to 18 foot-pounds. The lines to 62 inch-pounds, then 89 inch-pounds, and then 25 degrees, which is really hard to do in the back of this engine, by the way. Just let's put that out there. And granted, that torque spec is for new lines. Do not exceed 55 foot-pounds is what it says in the manual, just so you guys know. The intake, 89 inch-pounds again. So that's all torqued down. We've got our system ready to go. All we have to do now is we just have to drop this into the bucket, and then we can hook up the air to this and start pulling a vacuum and filling up the system with coolant. Let's get it done. Well, it's back together, everyone. Let's see if it starts. I'm fairly certain I plugged everything back in. Let's find out. I did find another boost leak in the charge pipe. We're gonna go ahead and see if we can get this thing fired up. No! No! Well, everyone, that's a disappointing end to this episode of Southdown Garage. If you guys like this video, hit that like button. Give me support. I need your support right now. Any support I can get from you guys, please help out. And we will find out how bad this is on the next episode of Southdown Garage. And by helping out, I mean grabbing some merch in the link in the description below. And yes, we have a brand new t-shirt we're launching very soon. Special thanks to Brian Massey Designs. Probably said that wrong. Take a look at the description. As soon as this launches, it will be out there. Just remember, all you hellcat owners, get used to these. What, you think I was gonna leave you like that? Okay, let's try this again, and we're gonna see if the vehicle starts. It seems like it's idling okay. No misfire. Very nice. Well, there you go, folks. It actually did start. And what we're finding is that when we were doing testing, we were seeing huge enrichment in fuel. And what we did was we went back to 93 tune and we were still seeing fuel enrichment in the vehicle. What actually happened was it seemed to put itself so rich that the O2 sensor stopped correcting. So the widebands weren't even working. It locked itself in full rich condition. It wasn't doing any correction. And that's what was happening when the vehicle wouldn't start. It was struggling to start over the last little while. It started to get richer and richer and richer until the point where the O2 sensors were like, well, this must be the right fuel because that's what it keeps coming out as. And that is a dangerous thing when you have an injector issue and the vehicle is running too rich. At some point, if your vehicle is running too rich or too lean, it will stop correcting. And that's why you don't want your O2 sensors to ever correct for you while you have a vehicle that's tuned, especially like this one is. So if you guys are wondering why my times were so bad, why everything else was the way it was, it comes down to the injectors on this vehicle overfueling. And why they were overfueling, we don't know 100%, and we'll find out for you in another episode of Southdown Garage. Have a wonderful day. Bye for now.